Today I'm going to show you how to use the playbook to look at Salesforce.com cases where CSO or a customer support operations organization owns the case and the case is 3+ days old. Because for a lot of those cases, if you think about it from a customer perspective, they email into us, it creates a case. And if, it's taking more than 3 days to get that case resolved and closed out, then we might have a big underlying issue that we'd like you guys to review and to try to escalate if you can't solve it on your own. So the first thing you're going to do is on the My Actions section of your playbook, you're going to find the Salesforce CSO Cases 3+ days old. If you click on the 19, which it's showing 19 for Qatar, it's going to take you straight to the CSO Cases tab. I'm going to go ahead and click on the label, which is right over here, and it's going to take you straight into the Actions worksheet. And again, we've been through a lot of the other training videos, or if you have been, this is a step-by-step guide on how you would look at this particular action and how you'd escalate and try to close it out. So I'm going to click on that checkbox and it highlighted in green, and it's going to tell you which filters to apply in the playbook on the CSO Cases worksheet. And then it goes step by step, the items that we'd like you guys to take a look at to try to close it out. So I'm going to go ahead and go through all of the steps here, and it's showing 19, and you click on the 19, it's going to take you to the CSO cases. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at the bucket column here, and I just want to look at those cases that are 3 days old or more. So I'm going to filter by columns or by category C, D, and E. And this is where it shows the 19 cases that you saw on the summary page. So from here, you can scroll to the right, and this is going to give you a little bit more information about the case. It's not going to give you everything, because in order to do that, you're going to have to log into Salesforce.com. You can put in the case number, and then you can really see that dialogue that's occurring between our customer and then your front end or your FEN CSR. But the subject kind of gives you some information. So it may have information about the parts they're asking. It may have information about a particular order. Maybe it's like a quote approval. It looks like in this case, there's a couple that are related to warranty. So at this point, you really want to try to determine if there's anything that needs to be done from your end from an escalation perspective. Now, the worksheet, it automatically will sort it by age. So the top ones here are maybe the ones that you should focus on from a priority perspective. So anything that's over 30 days, maybe you can't go through this whole thing, but it would be a good idea to look at the cases that are 30 days old, especially from the perspective of customer dissatisfiers. If you emailed a company and it took, you had something open for over 2 months, how would you feel? So this is a perfect example where you're going to use the data, investigate it more. You're going to use the details to take a look at, what might be going on, and then find out more information about it. So if you're interested in perhaps escalating this case to CSO, what you would do is you would take the case number, you could copy it, and then you can email the CSR, the front-end CSR, so that you can escalate that. So let's go back to the Actions tab, and let's take a look at what the steps are. So you looked at the cases that are 3 days old or more, but say from a priority perspective, you want to start with the oldest and maybe the hardest ones to try to clear those out. So you need to perform your analysis, which you did. You can log into Salesforce.com and put in that case number, and you can find out, is it a coding issue? Is this a contract pricing issue? Maybe the order is stuck because we didn't have the right customer information, like the serial number on the PO to begin with. So after that review, if CSO escalation is required, what we want the CVMs to do is to really drive resolution through CSO through the tiered escalation process. So here we have the escalation matrix, and this is the matrix that will show by customer who your front-end CSRs are. So first, a CVM would be expected to work with their front-end CSR for a resolution. And if it needs to move further up the chain within CSO, then you can go ahead and use this matrix to contact the supervisor, or the supervisor to the site coordinator to the work stream leader for resolution. In many cases, a case that's open for this long, it's most likely due to the fact that other supporting functions have a part in providing a response, whether that's the warranty team, ISC, maybe they have to provide pictures, maybe it's a technical question that ISC needs to provide more information on. But either way, from a CSR perspective, if they're not getting those responses from the supporting functions, then we would expect the CSR to escalate that within their own CSO tiered structure. And so if they're not doing that, then as a CVM, you need to follow their tiered structure to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. And hopefully, as you escalate some of these orders and you start, really pushing it through escalation, the CSR will continue to push the other ones through escalation as well. So I'm going to close this out. So to recap, with this particular activity, which is reviewing your Salesforce cases, which are 3 days old or more, you're first going to go to the CSO Cases tab, and you're going to filter on just those that are greater than 3 days old. And again, the playbook will sort it and give the oldest ones at the top. So from a priority standpoint, you might want to work on the older ones first. You can take that case and go into salesforce.com, and you can actually look at the dialogue that's occurring between the CSR and the customer to find out what the root cause is. Is it quote issue, contract, pricing, missing information from the customer? After you review the case, at that point, you're going to need to get with your CSR and find out what are the next steps to really drive resolution and escalation. And that's where, if you're not getting the right level of support on the case, the CSR should drive it through their tiered structure, so through their escalation matrix, going to their supervisor, who goes to their supervisor, who goes to the site coordinator, then the workstream leader. And you're there to make sure that they're really following that escalation process, because any case that's over 3 days old, we're missing on our commitments, because from a customer experience perspective, a customer's expectation is to really resolve that case, hopefully within 2 business days. Obviously, there are exceptions, but this is really just more about putting yourself in the customer's shoes and coming up with what's a reasonable time period in which you should get a response or that case resolved. Again, many exceptions to that, but our overall, goal is to make sure that we're addressing cases as they come in and closing them out, and not letting the hard ones, linger and really age. So thanks so much for joining, and I hope you have a great day.